Today, we're going to be reviewing that new trailer for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom that was released yesterday. We're going to go shot by shot and see how this goes. Due to a popular request, I'm not going to be making this video about Odyssey 2-player any percent or the Golden Sun Without Synergy series. So, here we go. So we start off with a Hyrule torn apart. You can see this glowing swirl here. You can see Death Mountains covered in malice. We saw that in one of the first trailers. There's some malice right here, which we can't really make out what it is or where it is. And we've got this new enemy. Although it might not be new. There's a mini boss in Twilight Princess that looks very similar. I'll flash it on the screen over here, but it's nice to see that we're not just going to have the same Bokoblins, Moblins, Lynels, Lizalfos that we had in Breath of the Wild. And then here, we have these towers. It's not really clearly shown what they are. I've heard some people suggest that they could be like portals to the underground. Heard some people suggest that they're just the Sheikah Towers reimagined. They could even be like time travel things, like gates of time or something. It's not really clear. You can see here we got this these symbols on the mountain, which we'll cover later. And then here, it's nice to know that there's still going to be some grass textures in the game. Hyrule's not going to be completely destroyed. It looks like we're above the canyon, in the far northeast-ish corner of Breath of the Wild. You can see there's something glowing down here. Can't really tell what it is. This was actually the shot that interested me the most. We can see Bokoblins with their new horns, and Lizalfos. This one's got malice all over it. Makes me think of those malice enemies from Age of Calamity. But more importantly, this Bokoblin is mining, which means that there's something that Ganon needs to get his power back, or something like that. Maybe he's building something. Maybe he wants to bribe Hyrule or something. I don't know. But Ganon needs money, and I think that's going to be, or he needs gems, and that's going to be a important part of the game.
Rise.
Okay, so here we have something that looks kind of like Gleeok from the first game. But my first thought was that it looked more like that enemy from Skyward Sword, the one where you do a spin attack on it and have to chop off all its heads at once, or else it grows back. But now that I'm looking at it, it looks more dragon-like, and the fire makes me think that it's probably Gleeok. You can see Hyrule Castle's already floating, and Death Mountain's got the malice.
My servants. Sweep over.
Here we can see the Hiteno Ancient Tech Lab and Hiteno Village. There were some trees here in Breath of the Wild. They're gone. Guess that's symbolic of the destruction that Hyrule will experience. And you can see another one of those green swirls. I've heard some people suggest that they're like portals to the sky, just like in the Minish Cap. But the fact that they're green, and the fact that in one of the other trailers, we see in this trailer, we see Link getting up to this guy in another way. So either there's multiple ways, or um, or uh, those whirlwinds have something different.
Rise, rise, my servants. Sweep over Hyrule. Eliminate this kingdom and her
Here you can see the blood
allies.
moon, and a barrel.
Leave no survivors.
Blood moon looks a little bit more red than it did in Breath of the Wild. It could just be me, because I always skip that cutscene, but I don't know. It looks more evil. Um, this scene, obviously calls back to the scene where Ganon corrupts the Guardians. But in this case, he's erupting it. He's
Allies.
he's
Leave
corrupting his
no
own servants.
survivors.
Um, now this shot, it's hard to tell what's behind here, but I think something that's overlooked. People seem to think that this is like the malice hitting the enemies. This looks to me more like when Zelda sealed Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild. It looks very similar, except there's no Triforce symbol, and obviously there's no Zelda, unless this is what's behind her. From this part, it could be a guardian, like you can see sort of guardian-like legs, but you can also see like the shape of a Lionel. So I mean, it could be anything. We don't really know. Here we can see what looks like a giant. It makes me think of those giant stone monsters in The Hobbit, but textured with the Malus Igniotalis. Because you can see like some of these are orange of the Ignio, and some of them are red of the Malus from Age of Calamity. And then we have this shot, which was in one of the other trailers. Hyrule Castle's being broken as it's lifted off the ground. Um, so in this shot, we can see Hyrule during the Blood Moon, Great Plateau. There's no shrines throughout any of the footage of Tears of the Kingdom that we've seen so far, nor are there towers. You can see another one of those symbols in the back. And here we see Ganon's malice corrupting these enemies, giving them horns. Here's something though that I would also like to say. These don't make that explosion that we saw in this shot, which is why I don't think another reason why I don't think that it's um this malice hitting something. Um this could be like a boss that we defeat, or I don't know, something. Um Okay, so in the background here, we see this thing. My first thought that was that it was a moblin, because it looks kind of like the moblins from the Wind Waker. But actually, Nintendo of Japan posted a picture saying that it's like a type of king bokoblin or something. So, and then here, this guy, we can see what looks like a redead. Um, it's got a different look to it than the other redeads. It's more skeletal, as weird as that sounds, because in other games they're also skeletal. They're not like wrapped mummies. They're just brittle bones. And here we can see a blue Lizalfos, which has not yet been touched. Here, we have a good shot of Ganon's tower. We have Link riding on Epona. And up here we have some weird cloud thingy. My best guess would be that it's like obscuring a dungeon in the sky. To try to like hide it from our view, or like tell you can't go here yet or something. Here Or uh here we have Sheikah text translates to transport, I think. TR. Yep, transport. We have these claw-like things. My first instinct was like spin attack and kill them all at once. Um, but actually, now that I see it, this one is like holding a maybe pool of wire or something. So it's possible that it might be friendly. Also, it's Sheikah, so probably not evil because they serve the royal family. And up here you see more Sheikah stuff. This looks very, very Japanese, which obviously the Sheikah are based on the Japanese. This looks very similar to Guardian legs, so I think this is probably another creation of the Sheikah. Here we see a better shot of that King Bokoblin. You see this tree. There was the giant horse was here in Breath of the Wild. That's where this is. And these Bokoblins seem to be wearing like what looks like a one-hit obliterator, but with a demented prong in the middle. I don't know. Very interesting choices of headwear. Next we have a Hinox. He's wearing this jewel. Some people theorize that this is a Zonai jewel. Maybe it's some type of shrine orb or something. But what I want to draw attention to is this up here. I think that it's like a barrier. Maybe there will be an archer up here, standing on top of the Hinox's head. Like they can shoot at you while you try to hit the eye of the Hinox. Yeah, we get a really big shot of the Thundra Plateau. Not much has changed except for that the shrine is gone. You can see some skylight islands in the distance. This one looks rather familiar. It looks almost like Skyloft, though I don't think it is. Here we can see some rocks, and Link is going through that area with the inscription on the mountain. And also you can see the tendrils of Malice floating out in the background and Death Mountain. Here is the first time I think in this trailer that we see an enemy carrying a weapon other than that Bokoblin, which was mining. This appears to be some type of iron axe, which is super weird because all the Bokoblin weapons in Breath of the Wild were wooden, seemingly brittle. This looks strong. Maybe this is what they use for mining. But also you can see, sort of like how the birds dropped moblins in the Wind Waker, you can see these enemies are carrying Bokoblins. So that's cool. Next we get a really big sweeping shot of these scary looking moblins. And in the background here, we can see what looks like sort of a Bokoblin skull, except it has a nose, which I'm not even gonna guess why it has a nose. And then here we get another one of those giant enemies. This one, obviously, is made out of blocks. You can see the green energy here, and the text that we still haven't figured out yet here. It looked Gerudo at first to me, but now that I think about it, it's seeming more like this is its own symbol. Here we can see Ganondorf. There's Malice leaking out of his wound. This is probably right when the hand leaves him. He's coming out of his seal. You can see his head shaking and stuff. Here, we see um, Hyrule Castle, but I want to draw attention to the fact that these cracks divide each piece of the Triforce. I think that's symbolic. I think that either the Triforce pieces will be broken or it means that Hyrule is just so broken from the calamity that it doesn't take much more to completely destroy the entire kingdom. Um, Here we can see Ganon doing some type of, I don't know, floating rock ritual. Maybe he's actually a Jedi. Um, he seems to be lifting these things up. We see more of that script on the floor, but it's a very consistent stone across this floor. Like other than those inscriptions, there's not a lot of detail in the textures. Um, and you can also see that in this shot, he is not leaking malice. And then here we get his eyes. It's that was in the first trailer here. I think they just changed the cutscene and wanted us to know. Um, and then we get a really cool line from Zelda, which I think is gonna prelude the game.
But Link, I am not sure you'll be able to stop him.
Um, you see this Borg cube floating out here. We see the group of long islands. Then here we see a group of islands which are connected by a bridge. And I am starting to think that this could be Skyloft. Now, hear me out on this. This island has a spire at the bottom, right? You can see like it's sort of spiraling, like the one that killed Demise in Skyward Sword. This one looks like it used to hold some type of temple or something. You can see like an open platform. This one looks like it is held above the others slightly. But it's not an exact match. And then here we get more pools of malice, another one of those towers. The towers to me actually kind of look like Von Naboris, like the head of Von Naboris, but thinner. But someone suggested to me that they could be like representations of uh of the figure, or possibly even of Hylia, or both. Next, we get better view of this inscription. I don't know. People have been suggesting that it looks like something from ancient Peru, which I would certainly say is plausible. Here you can also see probably the best shot that we get of any of the towers. They've got these like ear-like things and platforms on the side. Here we've got a homing arrow, which I think is really cool, but there's not much else to say about this shot. Here we get what looks like an evil crystal from Skyward Sword. And it looks like the enemies are mining it, so maybe that's what Ganon needs is evil crystals. Maybe he's trying to break the Master Sword and revive Demise or something. I don't know. Here we get awesome gyro controls, which everyone loved from Breath of the Wild, though it does appear that it's only moving in two directions, not 360 degrees. Here we get this new Zonai weapon, which is also homing, and also, alternatively, maybe the mineral that Ganon needs is luminous stones, because we can see a ton of luminous stones here, and a talus, luminous talus. And then here we get to probably what's the most important part of the entire. Sorry, the most important part of the entire trailer, which at first thought I thought that this was maybe the figure. Um, but the um it doesn't match. You know, there's no long hair. Um, the the clothing is different. So I think it's more likely this is Zelda because it also looks very similar to Zelda's appearance at the springs in Skyward Sword. And we can see Link's hand grabbing the hand of that person. Here we can get a better view of the spire, which I suggested could have been the island that killed Demise. We get what looks like magnesis. Also, you might notice there's no Korok floating here. And another thing that I want to point out is that the water is red, which means that the sky is red, which means that it's probably going to be red for the entire game. Here we get this awesome car, I guess is the best way to describe it. It looks like it's powered by the Zonai version of remote bombs. This is obviously Zonai architecture. This is a nice wheel. Death Mountain's still erupting, but that's really cool. Then we also get a hot air balloon and this flying thing, which we saw in the most recent trailer other than this one. And also, you can see there's like a ball hanging from a chain, which I find very interesting. And also, you can see the paths that Link has taken to get up to the Sky Islands. So maybe it is coming from the Whirlwinds after all. Here we see more of the Sky Islands, but there's not really much to talk about here. Except for that this is not in Breath of the Wild. It's very unnatural. And there's this falling rock. And we get the logo. Everyone thinks the trailer's over, but it's not. Okay, so here you can see that the malice is coming out of Ganon. You can see the Master Sword's already damaged by the malice. It attacks Link. He's worried. He runs away. He drops the Master Sword. I don't know if you saw it there, but he actually drops the Master Sword, which is super unusual. Like most games, you know, you have to prove yourself in order to earn the right to even have it. And now this Link is like, I don't need it. Just casually give Ganon the only weapon that can kill him. And then he jumps after Zelda.
Lend him your power.
Zelda speaks to who's probably Hylia and says to lend him your power. Link grabs Zelda, and then in one of the other trailers, I think the first one, we can see the hand grabbing Link. So, but here's a problem. The hand came off before it grabbed Link because in this shot the hand is already released, but Link still has his sword. So either they've changed stuff since the first trailer, which is completely possible, or the hand released itself as soon as it saw Link, which gives me questions about its motivations.
Please, lend him your power.
And then, yeah. 5/12/23. Not delayed. Thank goodness. So yeah, that's all that I had to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe because it's free. Bye-bye.